Hi, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Author. Tonight we have author-publisher Peggy Gaffney, and she is a fellow member of CAPA. CAPA is Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association, and every year CAPA has what's called CAPA University, a conference. And this year we're going to have the 11th annual CAPA University, and the keynote speaker is going to be Barbara Shapiro, who is the New York Times best-selling author of The Art Forger and a teacher of writing at Northeastern University. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you, Jason.
So, Peggy, tell us about CAPA University and why it is unique.
CAPA University is unique because though there are hundreds and hundreds of writers' conferences throughout the year, very few of them carry the breadth that CAPA University carries. It is not only a writers' conference, but it's also a marketing conference and a publishing conference. So you get all aspects of getting the book from the writer to the reader in one place.
And I want to make, you said something very interesting. You said it's not just a writing conference, but it's also marketing and publishing. And that's so important today because many authors have to market their own books in many cases. And today with self-publishing picking up, they're also publishing their own books. So to have a conference where you have the marketing and the publishing, not all authors go this route, but it's becoming more and more popular.
Well, what's happened is, especially in the last 10 years, the publishing as we knew it has disappeared. There are only 4 major publishing houses in the United States today. They used to be owned by companies that were interested in just publishing books. Now they're owned by corporations. So the whole attitude towards publishing has changed from let's bring out a book that will inspire, will teach, will, carry a concept forward, into we have to sell so many 100,000 copies of whatever we bring out. So today, especially in nonfiction, if you have a unique new title or a unique concept, they won't touch it. Because unless it has a proven track record that they've had 20 other books published on this topic and each one sold 450,000 or so, for instance, books, that they won't take on a new topic. So in nonfiction, breaking into the mainstream of publishing today, unless you are sort of following along lockstep with what's already available, is very difficult. And this is why there has been such a huge growth in independent publishing. And the small presses, the tiny presses, where they may just have 5 people working there, are growing very, very rapidly. And through online facilities such as CreateSpace and whatnot through Amazon, a lot of people can publish their own books. The downside of that is, in the old days, if you were a writer and you had a book that a publisher agreed to publish, it was then, you'd submit a manuscript, it was edited, it was fine-tuned, the pages were designed, the cover was designed, the whole marketing program, the strategy was worked out. You would have a list of places where they would send you to do book signings and whatnot. That's all disappeared. Even for the mainstream houses, that's essentially all disappeared. With the mainstream houses now, if you get a book accepted, and they usually only accept it if you have an agented book. That means you have to find an agent, and the agent has to convince the publisher to publish it. Now, that means that you have to, in this day and age, pre-edit your book. They won't accept a book unless it's already been edited. Then they will fine-tune it, and they will have somebody design a cover. You may not know what the cover of your book looks like until you see it on the shelf at Barnes & Noble. You have no control. Once the book is off to the publisher, it's out of your hands. They will pick a cover, they will design a strategy for publicizing it. And in the old days, that used to be a mass thing of putting it in the magazines and getting you interviewed on TV and whatnot. Today, it usually means one ad blast, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Done. And if the book is not extremely successful, within 3 months, they will pull their support. They won't discontinue it, but they will pull any marketing on it.
And the talks and all that.
So if you have, even a mainstream author, if you have a book out there, you have to spend every single minute and a great deal of your own money to market the book.
Mm-hmm. So basically, to be an author and a publisher and a marketer today, you need a lot of skills. You're having your own business. It's no longer, I'm a writer, I went to English, I took English in college, but today it's an entrepreneurial business, and you're basically your own businessman.
Yep.
So looking from the list now, the Kappa University, what we call Kappa U, is on May 10th, 2014.
That's Mother's Day weekend.
That's Mother's Day weekend, so you can't forget it. And it's usually at the steam boiler.
The Hartford Steam Boiler Building. That's that really big red building where 91 and 84 come together right in the center of Hartford. It's across from the Connecticut Conference Center, the new one.
So we don't forget, let's get this out right away. If somebody wants to, we're going to describe in a moment what's at Kappa University, but if someone wants to sign up, and we'll mention it again later, how do they sign up? How do they find out more information?
They can go to Kappa's website, which is www.aboutkappa.com. And then when you get to the website, there's a little box, you click on Kappa U, and up will pop the brochure and the application and the schedule and the whole thing. It will look like this. And you can just download it, follow all the directions that are in the brochure, and apply. However, it is a limited number. They only take 135 people each year. So even though it's not until May,
you have to sign
up early or you could miss out.
Well, we're already in January.
Yeah, I know.
And another way, if you want to get to the website, you can also just look up Connecticut Publishers and Authors Association.
Authors and Publishers.
Authors and Publishers.
Yes.
Connecticut Authors and Publishers,
Kappa.
So there you can also get to it. Now, looking at the schedule for the different topics that are going to be at the Kappa University, well, first of all, you broke it down into, you're going to have information on writing, fiction, how to write fiction, how to write different lectures on nonfiction. Well, there are lectures and workshops. Publishing, there'll be talks on publishing at this conference, and marketing. So to give an example of a writing workshop, you have here creating dramatic tension in writing. How does one do that? Or creating vivid images out of abstract emotions. You also have something on poetry. You also have structure in writing. And these are some of the examples of writing. And if we go to publishing, what lectures, what workshops, there'll be workshops on turning a self-published book into what a commercial publisher wants. Also for publishing, you have a thing called Writer Idol, where agents will judge the competition and give critique. So how to get your book published, how to find an agent.
No, that's not it.
Well, agents are part publishing, but also part of the writing. And you have under publishing the technology and printing of your book, and book cover design for somebody who wants to go it their way and have control of their publishing and marketing. And under marketing, some examples, there's going to be talks about LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn as a marketing tool, and how to publicize your book, and how to get your book beyond the bookstore. Not just a bookstore is a good place to market a book, but also to sell to libraries, big box stores, and chain stores, and many, many other outlets where people are interested in books. So maybe you would like to read a couple of examples of a description of a workshop?
Well, let's start at the beginning of what Kappa U is going to give to writers. And the beginning of it is going to be an hour-long talk by a person who has been very, very successful. This year, we have Barbara Shapiro, and Barbara Shapiro is extremely well known in New England because she teaches creative writing at Northeast University. But she wrote a fabulous New York Times best-selling book called The Art Forger. And The Art Forger is about the theft in 1990 from the Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston of over $500 million worth of paintings. And since that theft, this is where two men dressed as policemen broke into the museum and in under an hour and a half stole $500 million in paintings. None of them have been found. There hasn't been a trace since. And what she did, and she will talk to writers on how you can take something that has happened and take just that nugget of an idea and turn it into a best-selling story. And what she did was she took that idea and she said to herself, what would it be like if I had a young girl who was a struggling artist and who was offered the chance to forge one of those paintings? And this will be our keynote speaker, and she's fabulous. So after that, what we do is we have a panel of agents. Now, agents today are more vital and less vital in the world of writing, because agents are more vital if you are going mainstream. If you want your book picked up by a Doubleday or a Random House or one of the main houses, you have to use an agent. Mm-hmm. And the reason you have to use an agent is that agents are sort of the first gatekeeper. They see so many thousands and thousands of manuscripts a year that they learn what's good and what isn't, what will sell and what won't. And it's in their best interest to find something that will not only sell, but sell brilliantly, because they don't make a penny until the book has sold and is out there. So if you submit a manuscript to an agent, they won't see a dime off you for at least a year and a half. And so they will work very hard to make sure that, like your book, that book is a success, that it's published and marketed correctly.
So, what advice would you have for somebody to seek out an agent versus to try to do it on their own?
Well, one of the best ways you can tell whether your book would fit best with an agent or whether you should go on your own is to go to a writer's conference like Kappa U. The reason is included in the cost of the conference is a chance for you to sit down with one of the agents that we have listed and spend 10 minutes with your manuscript and the agent talking about, will this be something that they can market? Is it good enough? If it's good enough, how would they recommend that it be marketed? Where would they take it? That sort of thing. And they'll be bluntly honest with you. Later in the day, we have something that is known as Writer Idol. And that's something that we started last year. And what it is right after lunch, and believe me, the food at this conference is excellent, but right after lunch, we spend an hour, and anybody who can put in a one-page example of their writing. Usually it's a bit from a book that they're thinking of doing. They put it in anonymously. All it says is if it's a mystery, children's, this. In other words, it identifies the genre. A professional actor will read the piece, and then the agents sitting in a line will stick up their hands as soon as they find something that would make them not take it. If they get to the end of the page and there are no hands up, that means that there is something that's really good there. But I will tell you, agents, when you walk in to your job in the morning and you're an agent and you see a stack of 50 to 100 books, manuscripts, proposals, anyway, something from authors saying, this is mine, please consider it, and you have to wade through hundreds and hundreds that are terrible.
Sort of like when someone's sending in a resume for a job.
Absolutely. The stack of resumes is there. It's sort of,
throw
them up in the air and see which one lands where. But, so I was talking to someone after last year's, and she had put in an example of her writing. And she said, I thought that third agent was terrible because she criticized, everything I had done. And I thought to myself, lucky you. Mm-hmm. And, and I didn't say it to her because she was one of these very fragile egos, but I'm thinking, lucky you. You were told truthfully, this is good in your book, this is bad in your book. People would pay a fortune to get that kind of guidance.
Save them a lot of time, save them a lot of money.
Yes, save them a lot of time. But you have to listen. This is the important thing. If an agent says to you, your book has a nice concept, but you don't have likable characters, you don't have this, you don't have any good pacing here, take that as guidance.
You mentioned something very important. You have to listen, because one of the things doing in the process of writing a book or having it published is to have it edited.
Right.
And the editor is going to make corrections, and some people get ticked off about that. They say, oh, you found something wrong, they changed something, but you have to be used to the fact that you're not going to get it right the very first time, and you will have to have it edited.
Yeah.
Same thing with the agent.
You have to have your work edited. I don't care if you are the most perfect writer in the world. Never, ever submit anything without having another pair, and preferably a professional pair of eyes looking at it, because you don't see your mistakes. As you're writing, you're imprinting into your brain exactly what you think you're putting on paper, but it may not exactly be that. Mm-hmm. And you can often invert words or do any other...
Yeah, and the word processor only corrects spelling, but it could be the wrong use of a word.
And many, many words have two meanings.
Now that you talked a little bit about the speaker, so here's a good question. What if somebody's really new at this business and they want to walk up to a famous author there and they want to get an autograph?
Oh, no problem. Authors love giving autographs. That's something that they enjoy a lot.
Not a problem?
Not a problem, because every author worth his salt wants to meet his reader. You never become an author without your reader in your head. That is the person you write toward. That is the person you want to make happy. That is the one person that justifies you sitting down for 6 months to a year to 2 years and working at turning things into a book that's worthwhile. And often it's very different when you're talking nonfiction to fiction. I have published 12 nonfiction books. I am now working on my first fiction book, and I'll tell you, the fact that I've published 12 nonfiction books isn't helping at all in the struggle, because nonfiction, you're dealing with facts. Fiction, you're dealing with emotion. You're dealing with characters. You're dealing with creating this emotional bond, this caring of the reader for this person or these people you have created. And if you don't get that reader to care, they won't buy your book. And you have to create some sort of bond right at the beginning. They'll pick it up in the bookstore. If they read 3 pages, they'll either put it back on the shelf or they'll buy it. Or if they look at the back cover, you have to have a good blurb on the back cover, because some people just do that. Or if they go to Amazon, they will read the little 2-inch blurb and they may check out a few reviews.
So that's a good point, that someone who goes to a conference like that has the opportunity to meet many professionals who have been doing this for a long time. And since we mentioned a long time, how long has Kappa University been going on for?
This will be its 11th year.
Wow.
And I've been doing it for, this will be my 7th year that I've been involved with Kappa U. And the nice thing about working with all of these agents and authors and marketers and publishers and book publicity people, this year we have someone teaching how you can take your book and get it put into an audio book. So there are just all the different facets of how to create an ebook, how to create an audiobook, the major changes in publishing today are all covered here. But it doesn't stop that day. If you take a course with Shel Horowitz, who talks about turning a self-published book into what a commercial print publisher wants, that doesn't mean that you're going to take it and get it published by a commercial publisher, but you're going to create a book that can compete with the big boys. But all of these people, be it Shel Horowitz, be it Jessica Keener, who's going to talk about novel writing, be it Tom Campbell, who's going to be talking about how to take and publish your own book and get a printer, a professional book printer, and that's what I've used, or one of the editors, because we have 3 professional editors who will be there. In fact,
What is the editor panel, I see?
the editor panel is great, because if you sign up for that, you get a letter sent to you after you sign up saying, please send so many pages from your writing. We will have the editors edit those pages.
Very nice.
And so when you walk into that workshop, they've already edited your work, and they will sit with you and go over one by one, these are the changes that I, as a professional editor, have made to your work. That's worth a fortune,
It is.
because you pay thousands of dollars to get a book edited. This way, they're giving you insight into your bad habits, words that you use over and over again that you are not conscious of using. It's a really wonderful advantage. We also have the people who like Pam Velli. Pam Velli is coming, and she is a professional book trailer person. She used to work in movies, making professional movies and this sort of thing. And then she decided that what she really wanted to do was to bring it down and work with authors, because when you go to the movies now, you see the trailers before you finally get to see your movie. To be able to go and put something of that quality on YouTube, and then on your website, and then on Facebook, and then on LinkedIn and Twitter and all of these. In other words, create a 3-minute long, 2.5, 3-minute long video blurb about your book that is of quality is something that will sell that much more. So an author can't just write anymore. An author becomes his own small corporation. He is an author, he is a marketer, he is a designer, he is a Facebook blogger, he is someone who has to get out and get the name of his book and his own name.
A social
media
professional.
expert, yes, yes.
Can you read one of the descriptions? Pick one out. And read
Okay,
it.
let me just pick one out here. All righty, those are our agents.
We have 5 minutes left.
Okay, 5 minutes left. Okay, Lucy Ferris, who just happens to be a professor at,
Read it from there.
oh, put that down, thank you very much. A professor, and she is writing on creating dramatic tension in
What is
writing.
she a professor of?
She is
You
a
know?
professor of creative writing.
Creative writing? Okay.
Yes, and she is going to teach how to create dramatic tension in writing.
Okay.
And in fiction, and even
think
to a
that's a
certain
great
extent,
topic.
that's
Yeah, that's a great
it's
topic.
something we need. So it's the way that we have. She's doing creating dramatic tension. Paul Allen Rubin, who's worked with all the top actors like Michael J. Fox, will be talking about how to do the audiobooks.
Do you want to read
We
one,
have-
or you want me to read it? Want to read an example?
Well, Carol McManus, the
Okay.
LinkedIn lady, on using LinkedIn to sell more books. Now, you don't think of LinkedIn as a marketing tool. You think of Facebook, you think of Twitter. LinkedIn is a special way to go about because this is professional to professional. So it's very good on getting you connected to people who will pick up what you have in the way of publicity and market it with you. So it's an excellent way of getting that in. And Donna Marie Merritt is the personal and public side of poetry. Now you may, raise an eyebrow, but poetry is huge now.
It is.
It
Okay.
really is. People say, "Oh, poets."
When you say
are
you
there
mean they are selling books?
I
on
mean, they
poetry?
are selling. It's a large market, and
I didn't
a
realize
lot
that.
of the people who come to Kappa U are poets.
Mm-hmm.
And we always have somebody who speaks on poetry. We have had very good success with
Well,
it
I had
over the
Eileen
years.
Abruzzo who was going to be at Kappa
Yes,
U. She was
yeah,
a poet.
and she's
She talked
also an
about her
editor.
books, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we just have, there are 15 workshops to pick from. So you get not only your keynote speaker, you get an authors panel, then the authors break up and go and do one-on-one with anybody who wants to talk to them. And then we have the 15 panels, which you get to pick 3 from the 15. So you don't have to attend something that doesn't interest you. You can just pick your 3 favorites and go to them. But the trick is to go with a friend, and then you can share the information back and forth.
That's
and
right.
most of the speakers will stay in touch with those who attend their
So
workshop.
they give out their cards also.
Yeah, they give out their cards.
We have
carries
one
it.
last question,
Oh, okay.
although we discussed it a little bit, but we'll ask it again. What if somebody has already published a book? Should they come?
Absolutely, because a regular writers conference, you're just going to learn for your next book. With this, half the conference is on marketing and on publishing. And so once it is published, how to get your book off the ground. Unless you are a New York Times bestseller, you can learn something at this conference.
I'm sure they could also.
Yes, I'm sure they
Well,
could.
Peggy, thanks for being a guest on Meet the Author and getting the word out about Kappa University. This is a show of Connecticut and Connecticut authors, and it's a local university.
Well, thank
right?
you. And I will look forward to seeing everybody who has seen this at Kappa University.
Very good. They have time still. It's going to be in May, correct?
May 10th.
May 10th.
Okay.